So the gov just told us that we can't do this anymore. Before I get into that, I wanted to show you the rooster, the big Brahma rooster. He's gonna get up to about 10 pounds. He's not full grown yet, but look how big he is. He just hovers over everybody else. So he'll be our meat bird. We won't butcher him. We'll breed him with the other Brahmas. You can see, well, we'll breed him with everybody, but you can see the other Brahmas are just as, I don't know, they'll be 8 pounds or so. But they sure are big. Had a lot of requests me show the chickens again. So, but here's a Brahma here. She's a little female. They're just so pretty. And then these guys over here are all the ones that we incubated. That one. We incubated those in the spring. And now they're full grown, laying eggs. There's one that comes by and she'll lay down for you. Maybe it's this one. Let's see. Yeah, see, she'll lay down for you. She thinks she's getting bred is what she thinks. So we got probably 27 or 30 chickens now. We're trying to stay under the magic number of 50. 50 is when the USDA can come out and start harassing you for your chickens. I think it's USDA. I don't think it's the FDA, but regardless, it's one of those government, I'm trying to make sure they don't get out, so that's why I'm not looking at the camera. But one of those government organizations, what it is the bird flu. You know, when I first heard of the bird flu, I was whatever, okay, it's a bird flu. I didn't think much of it. But the more I'm involved and paying attention to it, the more I'm curious. I wonder if the bird flu is a real thing. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, of course it's a real thing. I had all my chickens slaughtered because of them. And I agree, yeah, the government's coming around and they're slaughtering chickens. I've reported many times that there's been millions, I don't even remember how many, but like 50 or 60 million chickens slaughtered just this year. Georgia, Iowa, Missouri. Just when things started to settle down, farmers started getting their numbers back up. The government came back out in the fall and said there was another outbreak of bird flu. The thing about the article was a rare case of bird flu late in the season. It's strange it was late in the season. How late in the season was kind of incredible. As many times they said it, kind of made me think, wait a minute, this is awful strange. Why is it so late in the season? And the thing is bird flu is transferred from large birds, wild birds. So we got to think about the geese have already flown north and ducks have already flown, and so the birds have already kind of migrated to wherever they're going to be. And here we have a late case of bird flu. Look, I'm not saying it can't happen. I suppose it can happen, but it's just really strange to me. And one of the reasons it's so strange to me is when we went to the hatchery to get our chickens, and I've said this several times, there was a lot of procedures they put in place so the bird flu could not be spread at the hatchery. One of the things they did was they put a carpet down, and it's a 2-section carpet. I wish I could have taken a picture of it or something, but it was a 2-section carpet, and the first section had bleach water on it. So you walked in the door, you stepped in the bleach water. And then the next section was just rug, and you wiped your feet off on the rug, and the bleach water killed the bird flu. So I keep wondering, how is it that the hatchery can put procedures in place that hundreds of customers come in each day and they don't get the bird flu spread to their hatchery? I mean, I had no idea that bird flu was spread by droppings from large birds. Had no idea. Yet they were able to control the environment good enough not to get bird flu into the hatchery. But farmers can't seem to figure this out. It would seem to me that there are a lot of procedures put in place so when the farmer goes into the bird confinement, they're not spreading bird flu into the confinement. I would think they would have a carpet like that, or they would put booties on their shoes, or maybe walk in with tennis shoes and walk out with boots. I don't know. There's got to be a procedure so they're not spreading bird flu to the chickens. But somehow these farmers just aren't smart enough to figure this out, even though the hatchery is. This isn't complicated. I mean, heck, last spring when things were really bad, we were letting the chickens out and let them free range for about an hour a day. And when the bird flu broke out in the spring, we decided not to let them out anymore because we have large birds fly over here. I wasn't sure what kind of large birds, but now I know more. So I would come down here and I had a different pair of shoes, and I would put the shoes in the camper. That way I can just walk out, come over to the chicken run, change my shoes, walk in there without spreading anything that might have been on the bottom of these shoes. So here I am with but at the time I didn't even have, 20 birds. And I was able to figure out how not to spread bird flu to my chickens. Now the thing is if you have more than 50 chickens, they can come out and inspect backyard chickens at that point. And here's how I figured this out, is if you have more than 50 chickens, you have to register those into your state property tax. So my guess is that's how they figure it out, is through property tax. So then they come out and then they test your birds. I don't even think they ask you if you can test your birds, they just test them. And if they find that they're infected, they tell you to slaughter them. They don't even show you the results, is my understanding. They just said, oh, you got it. So there was a lot of backyard chickens around here that had to get slaughtered. So I'm not going to do any more than 50. So we have 30 birds now, or just under 30 birds. I think it's 27. So when we incubate, I'll be sure not to get more than 50 birds total. Now when we incubate, those birds will be just butchered chickens. We'll butcher those and can those. So that Brahma that you saw, I think he's going to be able to provide enough chicken meat, and the hens are going to be able to provide enough eggs that we should be pretty self-sustaining now. We're finally at that point where I think that we can live off the chickens. Now I've talked to you about how we feed them, raising sunflower seeds, and then you sprout the sunflower seeds. You can turn a 50-pound bag of sunflower seeds into 250 pounds. But we're going to have to do something because the government has pretty much said no to selling chickens and eggs. They've done everything they can to shut down that sale. As you know, we are feeding the cat canned chicken. So we bring home chicken from this bag. I'll show you this bag here. And we can it up. And so we feed the chicken meat to the cat, but we also eat it too. So I'm sure everybody has seen these at the store. Back in the spring, or late winter, early spring, that bag was $4.90. 10-pound bag, and it takes 3 bags to fill our both 2 canners. So that's 20 pints of food. Then over the summer, it went up to $7.90. Still not too unreasonable. So we decided at that point that the chicken was cheaper than buying canned cat food. Now we buy canned cat food and dry food, but she wasn't eating the canned food anymore. And so I'm just buying this garbage. I'm sure that's all it is. And she's not eating it. So I opened up a can of chicken one morning when I got up, because I was out of that cat food. Oh, she loved it. So we started figuring out the price of it, and was it cheaper? And of course she's not eating it all the time. And it worked out that it was significantly cheaper per pint than buying the cat food. Now I know a lot of people are gonna say, well, I wouldn't have a cat, I need a dog, and all this off-grid macho stuff. But Carolyn likes the cat. I don't mind having her around. She's a sweet cat. She's coming in now. She sleeps on Carolyn at night. If it gives Carolyn some pleasure, why not let her have it? Also, it keeps the mice away, and that's the most important thing. Mice and snakes. The black snakes tend to come around this house quite a bit. Haven't seen anything else, and then we've only had 1 mouse since we built this. So she keeps those away, and so she's got a job to do. She's also a fairly good warning system. When she's outside and raccoons or possums come around, she makes enough noise to let us know there's something out here. The other day, she saw something across the street. She meowed real loud. I came out, and it was a deer or something. I mean, it moved out before I could see it, but it was pretty big. So it tells me she can do a little bit of security. Well, now that chicken is $9.90 a bag. So it has more than doubled since the spring, because I'm sure of the bird flu. Now, we went ahead and bought it. When we break it all down, it's still pretty cheap to buy this chicken for the cat and us. I mean, like I said, we still eat it, but we don't need a lot of it because we've been raising the chickens for ourselves. So this is pretty much for the cat. And I enjoy canning. It's a lot of fun. Preserves the food. And if something happens, of course, we still have all this food. We got about 400 days worth of food now, I think. we've got canned up. So that's over a year. So if we lost our birds to bird flu, we would have time to restock our flock. And the way we would do that is any eggs that they produce are good for 7 days to incubate. So you can put them in the fridge. As long as you don't freeze them, you can put them in the fridge. Now you can also leave them out. You don't have to refrigerate them. The problem is our house gets so hot in the summertime, they could actually start developing a chicken inside of them. So if we lost our flock, we take out 22 eggs, incubate them. Last incubation cycle, we got 15 out of 22. That would be a heck of a start to getting us back into eating food again. So by that fall, we'd start getting eggs. All the while, we could dip into our 400 jars of food. Now, eggs. Eggs are almost unreasonable to buy now. It doesn't even make sense to buy it. So she looked at the egg prices. Now, we don't buy eggs, but they're almost $4 a dozen now. The last time I looked, I mean, physically looked at it and thought, okay, and calculated in my head, so they were just around $2.95. So, and that wasn't that long ago, maybe 2 or 3 months ago. We still are doing pretty well. Of course, we live on a carnivorous diet, so we look for all the sales that save a lot. If we find anything for $1 something per pound, we tend to buy it. So we found a bunch of pork chops or pork steaks or something, a bunch of them, 5-pound packages. I think we got 3 of them. And so she's cutting those up, and we're gonna can those tomorrow. And then the next day we'll can the chicken. Now, I haven't been showing you how to can food anymore. My videos just don't do very well when I can. My audience is basically male, and a lot of males just think that's a wussy job. I've been called a wussy, except replace the W with a P because I can. But I'd much rather survive and have plenty of food and be a wussy. I just don't care. I'll be a wussy as long as I'm eating. Doesn't matter to me. But if you wanted to see how to can, you can go over my channel, and there's some tabs at the top, videos and community tab. There's also a playlist tab. So you click on the playlist and you can go down and you'll see canning. And I use Tadler lids and regular lids. I've canned lots of different meats. Well, that's all I've canned is meats. Pork, chicken, ground beef, bacon. I'm sure they're missing something, but there's a whole list of things that you can learn how to can. And I go through pretty good instructions and detail on how to do it. So if you'll click this up next box, take to a video where I was talking about being forced into a nursing home. So if I can inspire you, take care of yourself so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.